Welcome everyone to the Kendo UI release webinar for R1 2023. Kathryn and I are so excited to be here, and today we have a very special guest who will be covering Vue later on. So we'll bring him on and introduce him later, but I'm just super pumped to be here with you all. So welcome. I see our numbers filing in. Please send your questions as you have them. We are going to do a little bit of a special format today where we'll have some extra time for Q&A at the end for any super spicy questions or maybe even comments, feature requests, etc. So send them in. We have lots of developers and support backstage who are willing to take your questions. So yeah, send them in as you have them. But we are going to open up and we're going to kick things off with a poll. We have quite a few. I think we have 3 polls today. So before we dive in to the juicy details, I think, let's see, do we have a poll in progress? Awesome. Okay. Do you see the question? I'm trying to see if I can see.
Oh, yeah, sure do. So our question this time is, where do you get your Telerik/Kendo UI release information? And you can choose all that apply. So either this webinar, the blogs, our what's new information, or the release notes. And if the answer is more than one, like, of course, this webinar, but also our blogs. Check them both.
Yes. Yeah, anxious to find out. Is it still running? I don't personally see it when I'm in full screen.
It's still going.
Okay.
I'm watching the numbers tick up currently. Release notes are in the lead.
Okay.
Split with this webinar, which, you know, makes sense. There's probably some amount of, what is it? Trying to think of like the type of bias that happens when you ask people who are in the webinar about whether they watch the webinar.
Whether, yeah.
So I'm glad that those of you who are here are watching the webinar.
59% this webinar, 21% blogs, 43% what's new, and 57 release notes. Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to plop over to this slide. So we're doing this 5 minutes of intro. We'll have more than that on the end if we have a ton of questions for Q&A. We're going to do 30 minutes for Angular, 30 minutes for React, 15 for Vue, and then 15 for jQuery. So if you're really, really super interested in just one of these technologies and not all of them, that's going to be the cadence that we will attempt to stick to today. We might go a little bit longer on certain sections, but we're going to try to stick to that cadence, so tune back in or hang out with us for the whole time. So we're excited to have you here. So I'm going to start for Kendo UI Angular updates for this release. Very, very excited to do so. I have a lot of slides. I'm going to like zip past our agenda slide again. A lot of slides, and then I think if we've got time, we're going to go over to some demos in the browser. But before I do, in order to get these updates, we actually have a couple of really good resources that are like there's one that's a blog post and then documentation on getting up to date. And so just so that you have the latest to upgrade, you can either upgrade all progress packages or just specify with the parameter that you just want to update the Kendo for Angular ones. And then of course, a successful run will record the update version in your package JSON, because there's so many times where I'm like, I did it. And then I actually didn't have it. I was like, where's the new component, right? I'm very
there.
Yeah. Let's see, we're going to plop over. Oh yeah, I like to ask this question. We don't have a poll for it, but did you all, I think it wasn't last week, it was the week before, right? That we did.
Yeah, this one had kind of a bigger gap in between because we did a big combination party. Because normally you and I kind of do our own live stream party on Twitch, but this time we had the whole TechRel gang together.
We did, and I was in Bulgaria, and I got to enter some of the devs. It was really cool. So if you popped into that, let me know in the chat. I would love to know, because I'm just curious if you want more of that kind of live content, or if you find webinars more intriguing. So, yeah.
Speaking of the chat, someone has asked if you're going to share your PowerPoint at the end of this webinar.
Oh, yeah. I totally can. I'm trying to think. I think we can add it actually as a download. I think we've done this before. A downloadable resource, I think, is a thing we can do. Like, I'm sure Cindy's like off camera, like, yes, we can do that. Okay, so I will.
Yeah, or she's like, no, stop telling people we can do that.
Stop making promises on my behalf. So I will export them during Kathryn's section on React, and no peeking, because the end half of the end half has jQuery. So I don't want you to be, ahead of the game, but I'll export all of it.
Yeah.
And it should be downloadable. And hopefully I can get that uploaded during Kathryn's section next. So yeah, absolutely. Because there's a ton of links. I also tried to do, as often as I made like a little bit.ly, I tried to make a QR code so you can like scan it with your phone and then maybe copy the link over to your computer. I don't know, whatever your flow is. Because I'm really like dyslexic, so typing out links is painful for me. But if you want to follow along, not only with Angular, but with all of the Kendo UI products, we have this post. And the main reason I link it now, like I'm like, click on this now, right, is because it has links to all of the demos and the documentation as we're talking through it. So if you like live want to play with it, like now is your chance. And I'm making a little sticky note of export slides. Thank you for sending in that question. All right, friends. So yes, that's where the juicy details are linked out. But don't worry, if you just want to, chill and watch the webinar, I will cover it. So new components. Usually I just do new components on the left side of the screen and new features on the right side of the screen to existing components. But we had so many accessibility updates with keyboard navigation, I needed to use that real estate. So we're going to go into our new component for Angular, the action sheet. We're going to talk about it, what it looks like, how to use it, the features it entails. And then we're going to walk through the accessibility updates for, you can see that list of components that all got those. And if we have time, we'll check them out.
It's a long list. That's nice.
I know, right? I'm really excited. I don't know, so I feel like, Kathryn, it's because our teams, and like I'm totally like just like speaking for the devs, right? There's so many devs on all of our teams, but I feel like we're getting to this point of like we have so many components that we have to like make sure that the features are polished, make sure that the accessibility is polished on all of them, because I don't know, like I truly do. I'm very curious to see like over the next year or so, like how many more components like can we add? Can we get to 200? Is that even a thing? So honestly, but I'm really proud of our team. They did a ton of new features too as well that we're going to get into at the second half of our Angular portion. For the action sheet, she is our new and glorious component, and you can see it over here on the right. This is, I call it a bottom nav. Kathryn, what do you call this? It's like a like for thumbs if you're on mobile,
it's
right?
great when you're on mobile. Yeah.
So I call it the bottom nav, but it is an action sheet across, I think, all of our products. I think jQuery actually already has this, do you have this? Does React have it?
We got it in this release. So
okay.
Come back to me in about half an hour and I'll talk about it.
Nice. Yes. So jQuery already had it. I'm not sure about Vue. We'll have to ask our special guest when he comes on if it has it. But the action sheet is just this pop-up of actions that you can customize. And it's great for mobile or even desktop applications. And so you can obviously like toggle it based on either the viewport size or if you have the device information. But let me go ahead and point out this is the location of the component. I always like to be really specific and like show what package it's underneath so that when you're npm installing, you're going to not npm install action sheet, but you're going to npm install navigation, and that will have it underneath. And if we zoom in here, you can see an extremely blurry version of the action sheet. You're very welcome for that as I go through some features. So each item in the action sheet has the option to have an icon, text, as you can see, and then event triggers associated when that is like tapped or clicked upon. And then we're going to go and scroll that up. There are templates which provide customization options. I think there's 3 different ones. So you would essentially list out ng template. And I think I have a really snazzy, let me click on the, yeah. So inside the action sheet, right? It's so snazzy. Oh my God. Sorry, I was like nerding out over this animation. I was like,
oh, that's so nice.
sorry. If you are also nerding out, please let me know in chat. I will read these. I'll read the chat once I get to the next part, once we're on React, but let me know. So inside your Kendo action sheet, if you want to use templates, which is like customizing templates, you need to specify ng template. And then you've got the Kendo action sheet item template directive. There's actually 3 different ones. There's like header, content, and footer directives that you can apply inside of there. And then, of course, just have the let item little variable there, closing out our ng template. But this is how you can essentially use templates or the built-in ng template in Angular to make this like component your own, to customize it as you need. There's also a like A11 and keyboard navigation support already built in. So you'll see on the list of updates for Angular that we have quite a few components that have existed in the past that are getting this keyboard and navigation. But I was really excited to see that the action sheet, like as it was rolled out, it already has that built in. So I think, let me go ahead, show that full list. Yes, I think that is the 4 things I wanted to cover, 4 or 5 things for our action sheet. And we were actually, I'll pull him up in a minute, her up. I think it's a her. We'll call it a her. We'll pull it up in a minute once I'm over in my browser, and we'll check it out on the live demos. But I think I'm going to jump to some of that keyboard navigation that I was talking about. 2 main components, the scheduler and the tile layout, got this keyboard navigation. And for the tile layout, I don't know how this works like in the other libraries, but for Angular, for like, it's very specific for like this, for this one, it's enabled by default, or for this one, it's off by default and you have to turn it on. So for tile layout, you need to turn it on and set navigable to true. You can check it out underneath tile layout / keyboard navigation. And of course, there's the QR code. And I think I have a little, let's pull this one up. For the scheduler, she also got it, and it supports keyboard navigation. And I really thought this was cool because in not just the scheduler, but for all of them, different keys do different things. And you'll see this later on in the jQuery overview for keyboard navigation for different events. But it's really handy because I was like trying to test it out and I'm like tabbing, or like I accidentally like close the entire window and I'm like, oh yeah, that's obviously not the right one. So but it's really cool. You can see all the combinations that are supported by default in both the schedule and the tile layout. If we go to the docs later on, I'll show you some of those. Let's see. So yes, when an event is focused, the scheduler supports the following shortcuts. I think we talked about some of those, but it's really like, as it's very descriptive in the docs of like, this is how you like initiate the component, like how you select the component. And this is how you go into like a dropdown of the component or how you do things within it. So it's very, very cool. We'll check those out in a minute. WAI-ARIA, is that how you say it? I always say WAI-ARIA, and I assume, is that proper?
I feel like for no good reason, I'm realizing now that you've asked this, I say WAI-ARIA.
Oh, okay.
But why would I spell out the first half and then make the second half? Oh, I don't think I'm the authority on this. This is what I'm learning. I think I'm doing it wrong.
Let us know in the chat. I would love to know how you all pronounce it. So there was an update across six components for WAI-ARIA attribute best practices. And if you go to our documentation, you can see they'll have this little updated tag next to it. And if you scan this, you can check out like what those changes are. Scan the QR code or go to this. But no, it's really a wonderful update for accessibility. The keyboard navigation, again, for the tile layout and the scheduler, and then the WAI-ARIA attributes best practices update for these 6 components. So very, very exciting. That was our new components and accessibility updates on the left that we just covered. Now we're going to talk about some new features. Double checking time. I'm doing great. We're going to go into we'll definitely go into some demos for sure. Angular v15 support. So Angular v15 dropped last year, at the end of last year. I wrote a blog post on what it meant to me. That's Mr. Milks. He was, it took
Oh,
a
there's
couple of
such a
different
cute
shots.
photo.
So I was like, do number 5. And he's like, you know, he's 3. So it took some time.
The counting is a work in progress. Yeah.
But I really was excited about Angular version 15. All of our components are now fully up to date and have v15 support. So if you go to that link that I have listed at the top for installation / up to date, essentially it's kind of like the first few slides that I showed how to update your application and make sure you have all of this. But no, I'm very proud of the team. We are up to date on v15. I think I listed out the next, there's like that blog post that I linked to goes into detail on some of these, or me even trying out some of these new features. But and of course, like with amongst the GDEs, like the standalone API being stable was the big buzz. Directive composition is just disgustingly amazing. I was so excited about it. So check out the blog post for more, but we are up to date. And so let's see, next one. Yes, SVG Icon Support are one of our developers. I was like, oh, like what should I highlight? What should I talk about? And he was like, SVG Icons. I was like, okay, yeah, we'll cover it. It's gonna go. Yeah. So it's really cool. You can actually configure your built-in icons with this icon setting property, and you can see below the attributes of the type, the theme color, the flip, and the size. But then like this is like one global place, and then it just updates your icons throughout the app, which as you can imagine, I've been doing a lot of work with Maui, .NET Maui, and like hybrid apps, and basically shipping my JavaScript app to the Play Store or to the App Store. And so I am like, have this interop where I can like have .NET tell me, oh, hey, you're on an Android phone now, right? And so I'm imagining like this kind of global setting in my Angular app being really useful, because then I can be like, cool, my Angular app now knows what device I'm on. Let's go ahead and scale up those icons for, not to have fat fingering, or like, let's go ahead and, change them to dark mode or whatever have you. So it's great to have that option now. And I do have that pulled up in the browser. So we'll play with a live demo of that. But if you just can't wait, if you're like our developer who worked on it, you can type out that and play with it right now. I think, let's see, do I have another build for this? I think I do. Yes, to set it globally, icon settings token. And then I think I typed out, so this is just like obviously in your ng module here, in the providers is where you're going to go ahead and link to your icon settings. And you can say things like the type and the size. And I think there was like 4 total things that you can specify. But we're going to go to that in a moment and play around with it. So yes, the Gantt got a feature called the year view, and I don't think it's animating yet. Let's see, there it goes. So instead of just day, week, month, you now can see the year, which in the year mode of the Gantt, tasks are allocated by a monthly basis along the timeline part. So the Gantt main header renders the corresponding year, and the secondary header shows the respective month. So I think I'm going to go back and then go forward again just to animate it one more time of like loading that in. So check out underneath the components Gantt, because it is its own package, because she's chunky, right? She's thick. So she gets her own NPM package. But underneath that in our docs, just look at views, and you should be able to now see the year view like with that. At the top, you can see just inside of your Kendo Gantt, that's where you specify Kendo Gantt timeline year view. So very cool.
It is such a useful feature, but it also makes me feel for every like project manager that is trying to plan out a project that's measured in years, that I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Personally, this feature brings me a lot of stress, because I'm like, okay, year view, but no, it's great. Like, I'm more
like, it's so useful. I just feel for the user that needs to use
the person who was like requesting this, of like, we can't survive without year view.
Who was like, when can we get a Gantt that plans in years? And I was just, oh honey, yeah.
Yep. So the Gantt wasn't the only one that got a view update. Our scheduler actually got a multi-week view, where you specify the number of weeks that you want to be displayed. And here's this really slowly like fading in chunk of code. I'm like, why is it fading
good?
so
It built
slowly?
the drama. We got some anticipation. Like I was excited.
I love you guys. I'm sorry, Kathryn. That was really weird. I got really distracted by it. Okay, so we're inside the Kendo scheduler, and we here can say Kendo scheduler, similar to the Gantt with a year view, multi-week view, and then you specify with the attribute the number of weeks that you want to see. And I think on this next one, yes. And the starting week period is determined by the selected date option. So I included the whole chunky monkey here because I wanted to show where we're pointed at selected date. Like that's part of getting this feature. If the selected date is not set, the current date is used. But I am really excited about this. I think we might have this one pulled up, but if I don't, check out underneath scheduler, views, and then even further multi-week to see this one. So, yeah. Is your scheduler this fancy, Kathryn?
I can't remember. I don't believe we got a scheduler update this time.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if we had this already or not. And I'm here to tell you I don't remember.
It's only like 100 plus components with like exponential.
I know. I can't believe you don't have every single feature of 112 components memorized.
There's so many. Even outside of Kendo UI, like we have so many dev tools, like as like Progress and as Telerik, like it's over. And so I told my husband last night, actually, I was like, I'm going to make flashcards because like,
oh, that's smart.
Like, and like actually be like, I'll be like on an airplane and just, I've got a spare minute because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of not knowing. And there's just too much. So flashcards, we're going back to college days.
No, I've been working on a project where I'm putting all of the like Kendo React components into a storybook so that I can like play with customizing them and everything.
Yes,
it's been really fun, but I will tell you I've learned so much about all the little components because you don't necessarily implement every single one of these 100 plus components. You kind of play with the new ones and like when you need one you go find them.
Yeah.
But how to like
convince
every
you
feature of everyone
to come on Code It Live and show me your storybook journey.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
My friends, all my Angular friends are like, oh my God, you're not using storybook yet? And I'm like, no. So, maybe even though yours will be in the React flavor, I can like learn, like, Yeah. Okay. You heard it here, folks. She has committed. So yeah.
Yep. It's on tape.
It's on tape. Our grid got an update, column menu auto size option, which is actually really slick. I think, let me see. Yes, I do have a picture. So you can automatically resize the column underneath the like little dots. It'll be one of the options, and it allows you to adjust its width to fit the content within the column, which is amazing because there's so many times that I'm like fiddling with column sizes. Yes. So here is a picture of me clicking the dots. You can see now auto size this column or auto size all columns because I cannot be the only one who just got wonky with the tables and you're just like, there's no coming back from this, right? I just refreshed like, and God help if they've like cached the state of it. I'm like, nobody wants this cache. I just want to do it's great. I absolutely love it. I have a little note here. Yes. So you set the column menu option of the grid. The property accepts a Boolean with column menu setting parameters. I think, do we have? Yes, we collapse the link in a sexy manner and show some code here. Oh God, I'm so distracted today. I apologize, everyone. But here we have our Kendo grid, and you can see inside of the Kendo grid column, I'm like pointing like you can actually down at the very bottom, you can see we're specifying menu settings, and we've got auto size column set to true and auto size all columns set to true, which is why both of those options is there by the cute emoji. So then we pass those menu settings once we set all of them, because it's not just the auto sizing option, into the Kendo grid on line 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth line of the grid, where it says column menu settings. So that is what that smidget meant. Do I have any more? I think I have like one more. Oh my gosh, I actually highlighted. Look at this. Like, I'm sorry.
You were so smart.
If only future Alyssa, or no, present Alyssa had the memory of what past
I was gonna
Alyssa.
say, I love that you are experiencing this for the first time.
Totally, I promise I created that. Like, do I remember that I created that for you? That beautiful experience? Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, so there's the highlights so that you don't have to count. You're welcome. But no, I love this feature. I think it's super, super snazzy. Go check it out underneath our grid accessories column menu if you want to play around with it right now. But we actually have another poll. Are you all ready? I don't feel like you're all ready. I need the chat to be more hyped, although I cannot see you physically right now, chat. So maybe you're.
We're just gonna assume that you're incredibly hyped.
Maybe your vibe is there already, right? Like I shouldn't prejudge your vibe. But yes, let's do another poll. I think we've got an Angular specific poll.
Yeah, which of the new features do you plan to use? Select all that apply. So that action sheet component, excuse me, action sheet component that we saw that pops up the menu from the bottom, the new compact style of the grid, the Gantt year view, or the Visual Studio Code scaffolders. Not sure that we talked about this.
We didn't talk about. We didn't talk about that last feature yet. I just randomly put this poll in here, like mid-slide.
We are going to talk about it though, because they're very cool. We got the VS Code scaffolding too on the React side.
Oh, that's wonderful. Will you show it off for me? Because I did not make a demo with those. Do you have, or like at least a link?
No, I will link to it.
I need a link. I need a link because I did not get a link for that one, and I'm like, this is so exciting, and I'm very sad now.
I'm one of those people that I'm not on the VS Code train. I should be, but I'm not.
Are you using Writer? What are you using?
I don't. Here's the embarrassment. I'm still using Atom because I'm a basic.
Yeah.
I'm a basic kind of girly.
I on my .NET journey was trying to like Vim into solution files, and everyone was like, "Please stop! Please download Visual Studio."
Yeah,
so I did. Oh,
yeah, I think
so
24%.
Action sheet component. Ooh, 67 compact grid. Yeah.
Big love for the compact grid.
Yeah. 30% the scaffolders. Awesome. And 13% Gantt year view. Very cool. I love it. No, I need to go and find the new bits on the scaffolders. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But I do apologize for your ad. They don't make, like, it doesn't just like work for other, like, right? Like it's built specifically for code, right?
It's a VS Code. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is I need to shift over. You just get comfy with something and then it's hard to mix it up.
Well, I feel like it was like whenever Angular made us use TypeScript, and I was like strong armed into like, fine, I will convert, right? So I feel like that's what has to happen. Like something in the React community has to be like, we cannot live without code anymore. VS Code. Sorry, I shortened it. Well, thank you all for answering that. Let's hop on over. Let's see. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. I think I've got like.
You're doing great.
Yeah, 5 more minutes, but I want to show some things in the browser. So I'm going to talk about these editor updates right quick. You can customize the styles of the Kendo UI editor without the need to disable view encapsulation now. So when you go to Components Editor Styling, you will see that there are two paths of styling your like editor content, like the actual styles. And before, I think you had to disable view encapsulation in order to do it. Now you do not. I think I do have some code here to show you for it. And so here, yes, we have the editor, and then our iframe CSS is actually pointing to custom style content. And then down below, same file, I'm defining custom style content. And it's just literally, I'm like, P, make it this font size, right? K content, make it this. And then if we go here, I think I'm gonna just like break the flow. We're gonna do it. Are you ready? Are you scared?
I'm ready.
Don't be scared. It's fine. And you can all judge me for how many tabs I have open, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so I'm loading in this VS Code, or excuse me, not VS Code, Stackblitz. This is progress.co 3K P55 OJ, if you want to play with it with me. So she's going to load in our Kendo editor. And then if I scroll down here, you'll see these custom styles. But I'm actually going to pull up our docs real quick too, because I want to show you that we have Whee! I love our docs. Like if you're watching this behind the scenes and like you work personally on our docs, thank you.
We
They're
love the
beautiful.
docs.
I love them. Like I'm very
Absolutely.
proud of our documentation. Okay, so we just geeking out. They're in the back going, that was me. That was okay. So here on the style modes, if we scroll down, you'll see how it talks about encapsulation. And I think we have customizing the appearance encapsulated mode, and then if you keep scrolling, non-encapsulated mode. So now there's 2 options for achieving this. She's taking a minute to load, but I mean, I'm doing so much on this machine, so forgive her. We'll come back. But I want to show you, actually, I think it's like loaded in browser, so I can just go ahead and show you. Let's see. I want to do the one that has yellow. Yeah. So we're going to view the source here. You'll see that view encapsulation is not disabled for this component. And if I go down here and instead of, oh, I don't think I can edit it live. I think we've got to wait on her. There it goes. Yay. Yeah. So you can see I've changed the font size because like I can't read anything. So I need it all to be massive. I've given the paragraph, this up here, the normal paragraph, the background of gray, color white. And then the UL and the LI paragraph are now hot pink, right? Which is like, who wouldn't want this? But it's really, really cool. We now offer that option as well. So I'm gonna blip through, get this screenshot back up, or not screenshot, the code back up. But check out underneath the editor component for Angular styling. I'm really curious if React has this because I was like, we're cool. Like we're very cool.
Yeah, no, I don't think we got any editor updates this release.
I can't wait to see your updates. I was so busy working on our content. I haven't got to see like what React's got going on, what Vue's got going on. So I'm going to be very attentive during your.
I always just wait so that my reactions can be genuine during the webinar. I like to be surprised.
Yeah. Okay. Improved build times. So this may or may not be like a. I don't know. I'm just going to let you all decide. So as of this release, we conform to Angular package format v13. You're going to need v13, which includes ESM 2020 bundles. So with this update, we are improving build times and application performance for modern browsers in Angular. Nice. We're keeping up with the times, right? So I know like having a minimum version requirement is sometimes painful, but it's also needed to just to keep up. So I'm very excited about this. So there's that note. There's a couple of notes like that in jQuery where I'm like, hey, this is happening. So this was my, hey, this is a good thing. We should all be excited about it. So CSP compliance, hearing a ton of buzz about CSP content security policy throughout the like both Telerik UI and Kendo UI. And so up until now, the UI for Angular components required this unsafe inline style source to enable them to load encapsulated styles. And to solve this and make sure that our components being the Angular components, because what jQuery did to have CSP compliance is a little bit different. So for the Angular components to have strict CSP support, we removed any inline styles and style attributes. So we're good to go on CSP compliance. If you want to read more about those specifically for Angular UI, you can check out underneath troubleshooting, which I didn't even know. Like I feel horrible. I was like, that's a section. We have a troubleshooting section? Oh my God, right? So underneath troubleshooting CSP, check it out. It's really, really cool. That is the last. I need to go and find out scaffolders because apparently I totally missed out highlighting that. But if you have feature requests for existing components or components that we somehow missed, because I really truly don't know if there's any more, please go to feedback.telerik.com, send those in for Angular or any other product across the board, right? Just like we want to hear from you. Our devs really do, they really do listen to your feedback and they really do care. So I think that is all for me. I think we're ready to go to React world.
Oh boy.
Oh no, I didn't show, hang on. Do we have a minute? Like 1 minute? Just like Uno,
go for
Momoto? That was not even any language at all. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to go over like by 2 minutes. Okay, it's fine. So the action sheet overview, I did promise that we'd check her out. Here you can see, and I might be like too zoomed in. Let me close this download, zoom out one notch. You're gonna, no, she's not happy. She's typing in the search bar. Okay. it's not going to zoom out. So we're just going to deal with it. It pops up. You've got these options. It's beautiful. If we go ahead and view the source, and maybe I can make you full screen. So you, oh, Moom is disabled. I don't know if you all use Moom. I like
no. What is Moom?
Moom. I don't know. I just cowed you. It is for window resizing. So I have shortcuts for like, put this on the top of the screen or main screen or the center of the screen. But when it's disabled, I'm like, cannot compute. How do I function?
How to do this? Yeah.
I don't know how to work my computer. It's very special. It's very special. So yeah, there's a dev tool for you, Moom. She's like for resizing your browsers on Mac. I don't think it's a Windows thing, but who knows? I'm always surprised. So we are in the action sheet. She looks like this. You've got Kendo action sheet. If opened, you're providing the actual like items that it's going to loop through and print out, and those have event triggers attached to them along with icons and text. So it's a very, very straightforward component. And of course, as I mentioned in the slides, it comes with full accessibility support. Like she's ready to go out of the box, which is incredible. We usually have this cycle of like, it's in beta, we're working on accessibility, and then now it's out of beta. So I don't know, they were just like, she's ready to go, she's done. And then keyboard navigation. So if I go here, I actually wanted to show keyboard navigation with this component. This was the scheduler, because I was like, which one was it? Because there was quite a few that got it. So hopefully she loads in time to kind of show you keyboarding through, but it's really fun. Let me see. I actually might have, I have her open. So here you can see, I really hope you can see, like, I don't know how like far out it is, but like I'm going through with my my arrows, and then I'm like enter on that or enter on that, right? And so I'm just you can tell that I'm like not mousing. Hopefully you can tell. I don't know. I can point my
we can see your cursor and the fact that it is not moving.
Oh, it's not moving.
It's not moving. Proof.
I love how you use logic to like help me out there. That was beautiful. Your brain is beautiful, Kathryn.
I got you.
Thank you. So that is the scheduler, but I think I have, yes. So icon settings, remember I mentioned it was one of our top features that we're really excited to highlight. I put a bunch of them. I like just duplicated the heck out of this button here. And if I like, there we go. Okay. Cause I was like, oh, one is not enough. Okay. And then we go down to, sorry, that module. Where did we say it? Where did we do yes, because in providers. So we have use value, type SVG, and then size extra small. So like I was saying, if you're like, all of a sudden we realize instead of a desktop application, we're on an Android or something, we can say extra large, and then you can see them update and then chunky, right? And it was just in one little icon setting.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I don't know, I love it. I think it's really cool. Kendo UI, we showed this one, but I kind of wanted to just show you like, I hate that I like loaded the other one. I had it ready to go here, right? So if we're down here in our styles, and I'm going to close this sidebar. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Yes, we have the power. So instead of hot pink, we can be all like red, right? And so it's changing whatever tree you need. And if we go up to my components, you can see view encapsulation is not disabled. So it's really, really cool. Lots of power now with customizing our Kendo UI Angular editor. So check it out. I think I shared this in the slides, this specific Stack Blitz, but if not, you can just hit me up in the chat and I'll throw you the link. The last one I had open, I think we already talked about, yes, encapsulated notes. So now, Kathryn, now you may have the screen sharing.
All right, give me just a minute to get my...
Like, okay, how many new bits does React have? Is it like twice as many? 3 times as many? How many new features did you get? I'm like, I cannot wait.
Yeah, so we got 2 brand new components and then a bunch of like quality of life and like other kind of supporting updates. So it's really nice. And we're gonna start off with a poll.
hopefully it's not a spoiler poll though. Like my poll was a spoiler poll. Which of the new Kendo React features is a spoiler poll? All right.
So vibes alone, I suppose. Which one of these sounds coolest to you? to be fair, the actual release happened 2 weeks ago. So probably folks that are in and excited about React, they already knew about these.
For sure, for sure. This is hilarious. So
This
select one that you're excited about. There's the PDF. Well, you can select more than one actually. PDF viewer, the compact grid, Visual Studio Code scaffolders, dashboard sample app, or none of the above. Maybe you're excited about the navigation accessibility features or CSP compliance. I don't know, right? Maybe it's not listed here, but yes, let us know which feature you're planning to use. Are they coming in? Do we see the? I'm really bad.
Yeah, right now, PDF viewer and compact grid are basically tied for the lead at just under 50% each, but the votes are still coming in. Oh, compact grid pulling into the lead. I feel like I'm like like announcing a horse race. Compact grid pulled ever so slightly in front at 53%. PDF viewer at 52%. VS Code scaffolding 23%, and our new dashboard sample app, which is very cool, at 21%. So
awesome, nice,
lots of excitement all around.
Sorry for the spoilers. I mean, I just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I am laughing a little bit because I was like, where should I put this poll? And I was like, at the beginning, we'll start off with something fun and interactive. What do I know? Let me do this. So,
oh, you got her too.
We got it too. Yes, one of our 2 lovely new components is our ActionSheet component, which works in all the same ways as the Angular one. We got a really nice kind of demo and walkthrough of that from you. Opens that kind of modal pop-up at the bottom of the screen, kind of made with mobile in mind, but it works everywhere, honestly. So let me see if I can swap over. Oh, I'm still here. Hold on just a moment. I am pulling up. I got a little demo over here. You can see, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, so fancy.
Yeah, as always, my very geeky Star Trek demo application. So I've got this built in right here. So now when I tap my run diagnostics, I get my little menu here at the bottom. I think it's like, these aren't tied to any actual actions right now. It's just a UI demo. But hopefully it gives a little idea of what you can do with it and how it would look on a larger screen, which is still pretty slick.
I'm still like trying to get a grasp on your browser. Like
I'm using Arc.
So fancy. God. Or is that just your computer that's fancy making Arc look good?
Oh, it's probably Arc.
Okay.
Arc making Arc look good. But yeah.
Oh, I kind of want to see like your implementation of it. Can we see that in a minute? We don't have to right now, but like how you did it.
Absolutely.
I'm always curious because I'm like, oh, React is such a funky new world. Let's all take a look at React.
Is weird, right? Yeah. No, mine's are really simple because this was just a UI demo. I didn't actually like link any actions to this. This is like the most basic possible implementation of this. So I just made a little const here. It's got the titles for all of this. If I had other things that I was going to link to this, like links or whatever, put them in here. But here I just kind of defined the title for all of my items, and then trying to find, this one's complicated because I've got my whole like grid layout situation here.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's already like themed to like match your theme because of what you've done, right? Like, because I notice it's like very different from my default action sheet, and I'm assuming it's just picking that up from what you've done.
Yeah, so because I've got all of this custom CSS kind of set up, I used the ThemeBuilder, a little call out there. If you have not checked out the ThemeBuilder, very, very cool. Mm-hmm. But that exports this whole like custom CSS. So all of my CSS is already styled for the design system that I'm using. So anytime I add a new component, it automatically applies the styles.
So it is cool.
So easy. But yeah, so I've got my little button here, and on click I have that opening the little handler, right? And then when that is open, there's my action sheet. And it just kind of
Awesome.
hangs out right there, right? And it's pulling in my title and items from my variable.
So it just says action sheet. It doesn't, like, you don't have to say like Kendo-React action sheet. Like, it's just action sheet. Like, it just.
It's just action sheet. Yeah, because I import it whenever up here.
Oh,
yep.
from.
So,
okay. Nice.
Import my action sheet. Yeah, React is a little different. This is nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like make you on the spot, but thank you for showing us that. I love it.
No, it's there to be shown. I'm happy to show it. The other neat one that we got, and I'll pop back out of the slideshow and back into the demo in just a minute, is our PDF viewer, which is really, really nice. This is one that people had been asking for. There's a lot of excitement about this. And it's one of those things that seems basic, but actually like really takes a lot of work and a lot of thoughtfulness to do well, you know? So you can embed PDFs now directly within any React application, and you don't need to use the built-in browser tools to handle your PDF files. This is nice because you can put it kind of into a page rather than necessarily having it open somewhere new, and you're going to get a consistent user experience because you're not dependent on the way the browser chooses to handle it, you know? So that
so pretty.
I've got down here. You get this guy that I've inputted the Voyager class schematics into.
Oh my God! Where do you even find this?
Oh, I just Googled it.
The internet. She's amazing.
Yeah, there's all these tech manuals and stuff for Star Trek. So if you're a big old Star Trek fan like I am, check out the demo app. You can see the full breakdown of the Voyager technical schematics. But
I love this.
Thank you. But yeah, it comes with kind of the standard tools you'd expect in a PDF viewer. Zoomability. If it had text, you could highlight it. I think this one's flat. Yeah, but if it was one of the superior PDFs where the text was live, you do that. Zoom in and give you a little hand. Superior PDFs, not those like lazy flat ones. To be fair, I think this is a scan of a book that came out in like, I don't know, 80s. So, but yeah, and of course, again, search features, if you want to download, if you want to print, all of that kind of stuff is accessible right there from the embedded PDF tool. So it's really, really nice. It's really slick. The next thing that we have, this is just evidently going to be a time where I jump in and out of a slideshow.
I like it. You did it so much smoother than I did, so I'm impressed with your.
Oh, I don't know about that. But yeah, we have got a new admin dashboard sample. So we want to give you ways to kind of pick up and learn KendoReact, or give you like code snippets or just like actual bits of application that you can use. And to do that, we've got sample applications. There's more than one of these. This is the newest addition to our collection of sample apps. And here we've got kind of an admin dashboard that's gonna give you examples of a bunch of the kinds of stuff, the components that are used to build these kinds of pages, right? Your data grids, your charts, your layouts, drawers, forms, app bars, pagers, all that kind of good stuff. So if you are looking for an example of how all of this stuff is used, you want to see it in kind of a real world thing. There we go. It took me a minute to find the right tab. But here's the live example of this app. And so you can basically like clone the code for this and just have it use this as a basis to make your own dashboard, or see how a specific component is customized, or just play with these components in a more like real world example, you know? And it's really nice to be able to kind of see and play with and just get an idea of what you could build. So
there's so many times because we have so many components that they interact with each other, like, or can be, you know, put together in interesting ways. So I love these real life like examples of composing those together and how they play nicely. So I'm really glad that our team does this. It's really cool.
Sorry, I didn't somehow managed to bump my webcam button there, but I'm back. I'm here.
I was like, she disagrees strongly, everyone.
I'm out. I'm just like, no. I'm taking a strongly anti-learning stance on this. No, these are great. Absolutely check them out. This one is the latest and greatest, but there's some other really cool ones that you can take a look at as well. I was gonna see if I could go back, but I opened this in a new tab, so I can't go back. Too bad. Here we go, a little info on the VS Code scaffolding, which I assume you got as well in Angular, but I can tell you about over here.
No, tell me about it, because I'm like, I missed this highlight. So yes, tell us about it, and I'm gonna go find it on the Angular side. So this is really cool.
Yeah. So this will help you create some new pages in your KendoReact apps with some of the most used like data-bound UI components. So the data grid, the chart, the form, the scheduler. So anytime you are adding a new project item, the scaffolder will allow you to configure a bunch of those component-specific properties. So if you are setting up scaffolding a new page, for example, with the data grid, you can set that like sorting, filtering, grouping, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, they are chunky components, and sometimes you're like, what was that attribute like to get that like feature enabled? Right. So I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice touch. I think as much of these kind of like developer support tools as we can offer that just make it easier to pick up, easier to learn, easier to use, that's a win for everyone. So I saw a question in chat that asked if PDFViewer is planned for Angular. Do you know if you have PDFViewer or if you're getting it soon by any chance? Not to put you on the spot.
I am 98% sure we got it last release. Hang on. You keep talking. I'm going to go look in our docs because I'm like,
okay,
that's a I think, hang on.
We'll come back to that question. We've seen you and we're looking it up.
Yes.
Now on to some improvements that we got to some of our existing components. First is the tab strip. So we now have scrollable tabs. So there's a lot of situations where obviously you end up with a section of tabs that is wider than the container or the screen that you have, especially when you're building responsive things, you know. So here we now have kind of scrollable arrows on either side that will allow you to use the tabs in a situation when you have some limited space. So we've got these pulled up here, and we're just gonna
looked it up, and we have export. That was what I was thinking of.
Oh, but not the viewer.
That one, yep.
But I would bet KendoReact and Angular, we're like that horse race where we were back and forth. Every time somebody gets one, the other one gets it, like the next release, and then back and forth. So I would put, I cannot say with for surety.
No, I'm pretty sure you're right though. I think it's in the pipeline. Yeah. I just don't know when. So I hopefully we can get an answer. Did they answer? Did they say?
It looks like somebody in the chat has answered that yes, the PDF component is planned R2. R2? So
nice.
As I guessed correctly, you'll get it the next time.
I just was like, yeah, obviously we have that done. Okay, sorry. Next quarter.
You always think you're better than us.
It's true. It's a fallacy I fall into often, so you're welcome.
Oh man.
Sorry, what component are we on? Bring me back. Tab strip?
Sorry, we are looking at the tabs. Yep, the scrollable tabs here. So you can see, I'm just going to do a little example in the docs. I accidentally highlighted that. But yeah, you get these little arrows now on either side that let you move back and forth. So you can fit lots of tabs even if you don't have lots of space. It's just one of those nice little touches that makes everything look a little bit more clean and streamlined and intentional. And I think it's really lovely. So there. We also have, I'm just gonna leave this up because we're just gonna go back and forth. We also have locked grouping sections in the data grid, which is, yeah, again, one of those things that's just like a little touch that makes everything seem a lot cleaner. So you can lock a grouping section now in our data grid. Previously, we had some kind of limitations there around like frozen columns and grouping, but that has all been resolved. So you can now have a little bit of a better, smoother UX in the data grid. We've got that demoed here where you can see we've got some things locked. Both this like top and these two columns have been locked. So even though we were grouping per like beverages or whatever, we have this locked header and locked sections. So it's easier for people to scroll the grid and kind of remember what aligns with what and what's supposed to be in what category. So next up are prefix and suffix adornments in our text boxes. So you can now add basically these little icons here, things at the end. Prefixes and suffixes is what we are calling those, which allow you to easily add a custom component, things like icons or buttons just built right in. And they look really clean. I really like this example actually that we've got on our docs. I'm going to zoom in because I think it feels probably really tiny. So we've got this input here for a phone number. We've got the person icon, which is just nice to kind of give it a little bit of, yeah, just a little decoration, a little something to indicate what it's for. And then the send button that's like just right there, suffixed right into the input box.
Send is the suffix on the input?
Yeah.
Or I guess that button is the suffix on that input?
Yeah, so this would be thought of as like a suffix and this would be a prefix.
Nice.
So it's nice. I know I'm trying to like race through all of our stuff because we had some cool stuff.
You do.
We also got the SVG icons, which was very nice. So you can customize the appearance of the icons by adjusting their type. You can toggle between our SVG and font icons. For this one, I'm actually gonna pop over. This is my in progress storybook that I'm working on.
So, everyone leaned in like simultaneously.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you can see there's just some like different options in terms of customization, and some of the icons themselves are a little bit different between what we have. This is our font icons over here and our SVG icons over here. So there's a lot of overlap, but there's some icons that are unique to each, and then just the way that they're customized. As you mentioned, they can be flipped, horizontal, vertical, both. So it turns out, why are we saying both? We could be making you type in the word horizontal.
I'm making that feature request now, so
please
you're welcome.
do. Yeah, as well as adjusting the sizes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, teeny tiny again.
Oh, yeah. But I've seen some UI, especially with like chunky dashboards that have so much going on where I feel it. Yeah. Personally, I like mine this size, but
I want it big. The bigger, the better. But yeah, that also really allows you to easily like swap between our theme colors here, right? So like, I really like that. That makes it super, super easy. The SVG icons are very nice.
I think I asked you this before, but like, is there any reason to not do SVG? I guess if you're really depends. Worried about loading,
it's just a use case thing. Font icons are nice in they kind of hook in to your font sizing. So a lot of times if you've got kind of an adaptive typography system already in place, you can hook in font icons to that. Right. So that can be really good. SVG icons, really adaptable, really scalable. I tend to think about just like where I'm using them and in what context. And if I'm going to be putting something like in a button and it's already going to be like with a font and I want them to scale kind of the same ways at the same time, I might use a font icon. So
but you're not afraid to mix and match, like, and choose what you need. Okay.
Yeah, no. And it's also going to come down to just like developer experience and how you prefer to work. There's multiple ways to solve a problem.
Yeah.
I think the really nice thing about our libraries is that we're not as prescriptive and we're not as opinionated. We're going to give you all the tools and let you decide how you like to code and what you prefer. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and the last thing that I had for us, I'll go ahead and actually restart my slideshow now for real because I'm out of demos. But we also got a bunch of really great accessibility improvements. So those WAI-ARIAs, the keyboard navigations, a whole bunch more. I recommend checking out the changelog to see the actual like full list of everything that got updated in every component. But some of the highlights that the team wanted me to call out: the DataGrid, date time pickers, drop-down buttons, floating action buttons, toolbars, calendars, tree views, list box, and more.
So I was at NDC London last week, and I heard from a couple devs actually that they use our component library, like whatever flavor they're on, because of course there's like .NET devs who use like Telerik UI, and then there's our whole suite for JavaScript. But they use our components to learn more about accessibility for things. Okay, so they're using our components, but like some things like are outside of our library, like that they built custom, and so they'll look at like how we did accessibility. So I love that we're constantly improving that and keeping up with it, because it is, I think, an ever moving mark. So
it is, and I think it's really nice that that is something that we have prioritized, that we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into. I cannot think of a release that we've had since I started here that has not had an accessibility improvement in it somewhere. Like, that's so cool. Oh yeah, a little call out to our Twitch channel. Come hang out with us on Coded Live. We've got, I think there's some new stuff starting up and some old things winding down. At least from my perspective, I've been wrapping up. I've been running a show called Dev by Design. It's been kind of a developer's introduction to design. We're kind of winding that down. It's been really good to do for the last year, but picking up some new stuff like React Wednesdays. So
yeah,
yes,
there's a lot of us on there too. So if you're into weird tech,
it's not just me, I promise.
We have some cool questions. I'm hoping like they'll get answered in the chat soon, because I don't know. Can a column be made invisible? That's real. I would love to know. I know it can be, but is it a built-in feature? Because I'm like, I can tell you how to do it in CSS right now, but maybe that's not what you meant. I'm sure you meant, is there an attribute flag that you can? Yeah. And then, is the React spreadsheet component in the works yet? So I'm excited. I'll like announce when those get answered.
Oh yeah. I don't know on the spreadsheet one. I would not be shocked. I'm gonna look up. I want to see if I can.
I was gonna say, is that like a commonly requested one? People are like,
yeah.
I don't honestly know the difference between a spreadsheet and a grid.
Well, a spreadsheet would be like an Excel kind of situation, right? Where it's it would be more like a fancy table with like.
So like less features in the grid?
Different features in the grid, right? Because the grid is like data. Do we not? Hold on. I feel like I'm like.
You're like, does this exist? Are we describing something?
It kind of feels like maybe there's probably some stuff in the like table.
Oh, it says it's expected to be released in June. What the heck? You guys get the coolest stuff. Oh my god.
We're just the guinea pigs. But there we go. Wrap that up. But yeah, there are definitely ways for the columns to be invisible. So
Gantt columns can be set to invisible. Oh, cool.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I know there's like a column hidden property. I don't know if that's possible in the DataGrid, but you can definitely do it like with CSS.
I am really excited to bring on. I don't know if you can even hear that drum roll. It was a good drum roll. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. I'm here to help.
An amazing person from our Vue team. So if we want to bring on Plamen, welcome aboard. We're gonna hand off this next. You've been selected. We're gonna hand off our. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you here.
We are so pumped to have you on. Thank you for coming on today. Can you introduce yourself for those people in the webinar who've never met you? What do you do?
I'm a web developer in Kendo and TimeDurationPicker for over a decade already. I've been in jQuery, been in Vue, in React also, and well, if you submit a ticket or some bug request, it's quite often impossible to speak with me in our system. So hi to everybody who don't know me.
Awesome.
And currently, yeah. So I will show you what we do in Vue now, and let me just go to the site.
We are so happy to get to do this with you and to hear from you about the Vue update.
Thank you. Well, we just saw the fanciest components that are the Alyssa ones.
Oh no, you have the spreadsheet? Are you saying you have? Is this your way of saying
flexing on us? Oh man.
The Vue is the baby in the Kendo suite, so we are trying to reach out the Angular and Vue and React. So we are trying to add more and more components. But I have some questions for you just before I start.
Yeah.
Let me find my mouse. Okay.
That is.
So here I have 3 numbers for you. Can you guess what they mean? Or Kendo UI for Vue? Just a quick tip. We started about 2019 with our first version. So here are some components. Can you get them? Anything?
Are you? Wait, I'm confused. Are you asking
about Kendo UI for Vue? Yeah, ask Alyssa and Kathryn.
Kendo Vue. So 100. It was 100. Have you gotten to 100 components? Is that what that is?
Probably.
With 475 developers?
That's so many. I don't think.
Sorry, that was a horrible guess.
Oh, you don't mean on our team? I was like, no way.
Well, let's just go.
Okay, that was a bad guess.
I want the answers. Let's see.
Thank you.
I'm so curious.
Here are the 15 demo examples in our site for the native components. We have done more than 475 npm releases. That's the dev and the latest releases. And ta-da! From this release, we have a 100 native component. That's very exciting for all our.
You called yourself the baby, but like you are with us, right? Like
yeah,
the baby is getting bigger and bigger.
This is a child. This is a toddler, at least.
Oh my goodness!
Wait
a minute. Are those all new?
Yes, we are adding quite a lot of new features and more components, but trying to reach and add to our customers. Don't be envious.
Y'all have been busy.
I'm like overwhelmed. This is amazing. What the heck? Okay, you go. You
but
show
I have
off.
Very little time. They gave me very little time, so
I am sorry. I should have been
go
like,
over. It's okay.
You can have 40 minutes because Vue apparently. Jeez.
Come on. Okay, so here are just the few the steps. So we have many of these on our tree list. It was not complete in our previous release, so we needed to add some more features like editing column options, drag and drop selections, and PDF export. So we did it. Now we have the new signature, my favorite, list box, chunk progress bar, several like small components but that are very helpful for page layout, like up bar, bottom navigation, expansion panel, list view, and tree tile layout. And we also have the compact DataGrid and many other improvements.
So question, I always get confused on this. Is the compact grid a feature on the grid, or is it a different component?
It's a type of the data grid, at least in React. I guess I answered that. I'm not the Vue person, so I don't know.
I can answer that. It's a feature on the current data grid in every sheet. We just have a property that tells you how to render the grid with a bit smaller cells, and I'll show you later.
Okay, cool.
When I go to that. Okay, so first the tree list. I'll just so I mentioned very quickly. We have the editing, that's very cool. We have the resizing of the columns, reordering of the columns, column menu, also column virtualization for larger data, drag and drop, and PDF export that are super cool, and that's becoming a very mighty component. And by the way, most of our components in Kendo are not very popular in Vue world, so some of them are even new for Vue Suite.
Oh, so it's funny that you said signature is your favorite, because I'm pretty sure the list is like my, it's just so, the tree list, like, I don't know why, but she's so much fun. I like had a lot of fun customizing her in Angular. So tell us why signature is your favorite. Tell us.
It's just very simple and provides like a very cool opportunity for your form or for your page just to give options to the users to sign or draw something very quickly. That's cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the new signature component that's quite unique and can be used in forms, can be customized in various ways. It can have a pop-up. I'll show you later. You probably know it from Angular and React, but if you are only here for the Vue, it will be something new for you. We also have the popular list box component that is actually very useful for cases like moving and reordering items. And we have a drag and drop, moving all the items, and a lot of customization options for the items that can help you customize it even better. We have an action progress bar. So we already had the progress bar, but this is a little bit different case where we want to have all the pieces separate and just fill them one by one. Next is the expansion panel. That is a small component, but it's quite useful to organize the content in your UI, and that's why we use it in many cases for our pages. Here is the app bar component that I also like very much because it just lets you have your header on your page easily ready with a predefined definition. So here I have shared a bit of the code that can be used. Do you know how Vue files look like, by the way?
No, I'm really excited to see the difference. Like, is it a lot different than Angular? Is it?
No. It's
Is
almost
it a lot
the same.
different than React?
Well,
everything is different than React, Kathryn. Come on.
Special.
I'll show you. It's a very easy to use library, and that's why they even call it a kind of the breeze in the UI libraries.
Yeah. Where you're like, oh, it's fresh air. Yeah, I've heard that a lot actually. When I was at NDC this last week, as people came up to the booth, I was like, are you JavaScript or .NET? And it was funny because people, like 90% of people gave me this face and they were like, .NET. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. But the few that were JavaScript had quite a few Vue people, and they were telling us that they just, I don't know, found it easier, honestly. So I have heard that feedback. You're not alone in the breath of fresh air. So
I'll try to show you in a bit how this works in a pure code.
Yeah.
So we have the app bar. It also the bottom navigation that actually gives you the possibility to add a cool navigation at the bottom of the page. It can be fixed, it can be sticky. So only with a prop on your component, you can just use it as useful as possible. Don't care about the additional CSS that you would think without it. We have the list view components that is very handy when you want to list cool formatted items on your page. It can be used with paging or with lots of template customization. So again, it's quite powerful, but not so big component. And finally, also one of my favorite ones, by the way, is the tile layout that allows you to move the things around in your page. And also have huge components inside the tiles, and apply different changes on the fly.
Yeah. I try to see how
And
many
here
like
is-
components I can nest at a time. You know, Tile 8 allows me to do that. So
here is the compact grid, by the way, and here is the difference if you are wondering. So this is the same in Angular and React as in Vue. So on the left side we have the small grid that is, as you see, with the smaller lines, smaller rows, and you can see more data here than the usual medium grid. We also have the paddings between the filter elements smaller, and all the other elements here are adjusted so that they're a bit smaller than the usual one. So this looks like a small feature, but it was a very huge effort for the team.
do you think that this, like, because Compact Grid has like been rolling out for Kendo UI for a couple of releases now for the different flavors, do you think Compact Grid is going to be like more used just on a regular basis than the default grid? Like, I don't know, I can't see why you wouldn't. Like, I want to see more data at once, so I don't know.
I
Just
would probably set
curious.
it to be adjustable based on like screen size. We'd maybe toggle it.
Not all the time.
Like,
Compact
not
all the time.
It's a lot of data. It's much more readable, I think. Like, it's good if the goal is literally just as much data visible at one time as possible. The Compact Grid has got you. But personally, I like a little breathing room.
Yeah, it all depends on the design probably and what they want to achieve. But we have them both, so let's see.
Yep.
Cool.
So next here, we also worked on the accessibility. It's actually one of the most important things. Not many other suites care about that. We added a lot of accessibility improvement and keep adding more and more for each of our suites. So you will see this slide in the next webinars for sure.
Nice. Very cool.
And here is last but not least. Have you heard about Nuxt?
Yeah, isn't it like a framework on a framework? Like it's a framework for, it's like very, I was like, when I first heard about Nuxt, I was like, why? Can you explain? You explain, please, what this Nuxt is.
So let's see. It's called intuitive web framework that allows you to choose how the rendering mode that you use. Like for example, you can use the server-side rendering. You can use other kinds of client-side rendering, other kinds of compiling of all your data. It has a cool file-based routing. It has composables, auto imports, and all it is relying on the Vue components that are super easy to use, as I will show you in a bit. So from now we have support for the latest version of Nuxt 3. That's super cool, and not many other libraries have it, by the way, because some of our competitors are not natively made for Vue, but we are. So let's go to some demos.
Yes. Also, we had a question back on the grid from Martin saying, can you switch between compact and like the regular default grid in real time? Do you know if that's possible to like have a button where you're like compact, not compact, compact, not compact? Is that like a thing?
It must be possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, at least again, coming from the React side of things, I can tell you can. In React, at least it's just a property that you specify. So if you wanted to, and it will update as soon as that property is changed in the component re-renders. So yeah, you can have a button, sure.
Okay, so I have prepared one simple demo for you, Alyssa and Kathryn, just to see some Vue files and how they look. And then we'll go to also one of my favorite jQuery.
So far, with all of the imports, I feel very comfortable and at home.
Can you zoom in a little bit so that your code is a little bit bigger for the folks watching at home?
So what we have here is
oh, I didn't even know that button was there. Since when?
It's there if you need that.
You're like,
it's the same thing as the shortcut.
So real quick, here is how a file in Vue looks. I will show you a smaller one, and it's divided into a template and the script section. So in the template, we have something like an HTML, and you can put your components and buttons there. And in the script section is all your other data, and some of them can be reactive. Like in React, it's, for example, here in the data section. So I'll just here is our main components, and we can add all of them in there. And I have added our navbar component here just to show what's new. It's a kind of we just imported from the other file here. It's one component, for example. It has a template and it has the script there. And there we have our app bar simple component. Our app bar is divided into sections and spacers. So you can put something in one of the sections and then add some space. So it moves a little bit left or right. You can add some special width to the spacers, and also then add another section.
Is that pixels, or what unit is that? Do you know?
Yeah, that's pixels. That's pixels.
Okay.
So and that's pretty easy. The coolest stuff is something like in Angular, by the way, that we have a divided HTML place, like HTML like place, and also a divided JavaScript place. But I will leave it for the people that want to deeper in the. And by the way, here is the tile list. I have added just a bottom navigation, added a signature here, my favorite signature. I have added a list box here, one of them in one of the tiles, so we can. Here is how it happens. We have the configurations of our tile list, and inside of it, we have a template for each one of the tile that we want to use. We have a template for our first tile, that is this chart, and then all of these sub charts are just a separate view components. I think that's enough for now. And
I was like trying to. I'm like, what's a V slot? Is that just a parameter from Kendo, or is that a view thing?
V slot, that's a special view kind of a attribute that is something like a template that can be used inside another component on a special place.
Okay. I gotcha. Kathryn, have you done Vue? Are you versatile in the views?
No, I've actually never touched it, but
this is so cool. Yeah, thank you for showing us this. I'm like, oh.
Well, thank you for your attention. That was all for Vue, and let's see what will. It's actually meant to complete some of the other to also Angular and React. And if, for example, some of the people are using Angular in one of their teams, they can use Vue in the other teams. They can still use Kendo and have it kind of easily jumped in when they need.
I had this question at the booth where they were like, so you guys like write it in the language, like in Angular, in Vue, in React, like for, the library. And they were like, isn't that a lot of work? And I was like,
yes.
Yes, but it's worth it. I don't know what you're trying to get at here. Like they were accusing me of like wasting our developers' time with all that extra overhead. And I'm like, yeah, it's worth it. It is a lot of work.
That's so funny.
The uniqueness of Kendo. Most of the other libraries are just using some base and applying it on the different suite, but we're trying to do everything like dedicated for the Angular, for React, for Vue, and for jQuery.
I just thought it was a really funny question. Like, it's not a lot of work.
Yeah, but it feels different. When you use it, you can tell if something has just been kind of like wrapped or weirdly ported over. Like,
for sure. Well, congrats on the 100 components.
That is so exciting.
That's super exciting for us.
Are you right at 100 or are you over now? Do you know?
Like 101 or 2.
Oh, yeah. So you're over. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. I am just going to warn you, you did such a good job. I'm going to definitely bother you to always be a part of our webinar team. But just so you know,
yes,
so you know, mentally, you were amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Okay, I'm going to figure out how to share for our last portion of the day, jQuery.
jQuery news.
Yeah, show my screen, make it beautiful. I'm going to put my webinar stuff back over here with our questions. So I have those up. Okay. So let us begin. All right. I think we did 3 poll questions, right? I think we're done with polls. I think we're good. We're
I believe
solid.
so.
Okay, cool. Again, I'm just putting this up there for any of your, any flavor. They're all in this one post. Check it out. If you want to follow along, click on links. As I mentioned, I'm going to actually make my comments a little bit smaller. They're too chunky on my other screen. Okay, so yes, as I go through the new components and new features, it's going to be good to have that pulled up so you can check out the demos. But jQuery got 3 new components and a whole list of features. I'm checking my time so that I can like time myself and stick to my 15 minutes, and then we'll see if there's any really juicy questions that we want to share with the whole chat. So yes, let's jump into it. The time duration picker. It is. I'm going to move that over. Sorry, I don't want to be overlapping. I'm trying for the first time ever, Kathryn. 2 screens.
Wait, this is the first time ever?
Like for the first time when I'm streaming, because I'm usually like,
no, I knew what you meant, and I'm still shocked.
So I'm like, I find it a lot to orchestrate. I'm like, there's so much content in front of my face. So I'm getting there. But yeah, sorry if it seems clunky. I'm just getting used to 2. I know.
Fathom using just one screen. That feels like too much content.
I was like, on like Code It Live, and I had someone like DM me, and they were like, I will mail you my extra monitor. I have an extra one. And I was like, it's not for lack of hardware. It's just the ability to, you only have 2, right? How many screens do you have?
Just 2.
Just 2. Okay. So you're like the
normal amount. Yeah. A standard amount of screens. Why?
So forgive me, chat, if it seems clunky. I'm getting used to it. But the time duration picker is a new jQuery component. I think I have let me see if I can click. Yes. So here is the link under demos.telerik.com. You can see the time duration picker here where you're selecting, and you can actually customize. The developer has the ability to customize the actual bits here, like what you're asking for. And you can see I'm typing in at the bottom where it's Kendo time duration picker, and you can say I want the format, the name, max, min, etc. So that's a very cool new component. Oh, someone's at the door. Apologies if you heard my doorbell. I'm sure it's not a burglar. We're fine.
I don't think they ring the doorbell.
Oh my God. My mom would always say that when we were kids. I'm sure it's not a burglar, right? Okay. You're right. They wouldn't ring the doorbell. Kathryn for the win with her logic. So
just checking. Maybe they would.
I don't know. I'm not a
Maybe
burglar.
They're very polite.
Another new jQuery component is the chip component. So it enables you to have this contact little pill, for lack of other term, and it represents this like little like attribute or action. It's like a tag, if you will, and you can specify the appearance and the icon within the pill if you'd like. Oh, that I didn't update that chip link. So let me get you the updated link. We'll go into the browser and check her out. There are the chips. They're all over the place in the screenshot, but you're filtering. You see it often with filters where you want to like add a tag to something, or you want to filter by something. So it's like just an additional little piece of information associated with something.
It was too close to lunch to be looking at these food photos.
Oh, I know. I know. There's going to be, don't worry, there's going to be more noodles brought on board. So we will come back to them. The ChipList is the 3rd new component. And I think it's really cool. They came out at the same time. I don't think we got them at the same time for Angular.
Yeah,
so
we didn't.
Yeah. So the chip is, of course, an associate of the chip list is an associate of the chip, because you have to have the chip component in order to have a chip list, right? So you can see here below, that totally makes sense. I think I have, there's the link for the chip list, and it's just /chip for the jQuery components. And you can see I was customizing the different like appearances of the chip, and you can have specify an icon or not specify an icon. I think I have prep yourself for hunger. So here it's utilizing the actual chip list component. So yes, it's very fancy. It's very cool, and I am going to pull up an actual demo of that in a minute. But those are our 3 new components for jQuery this release: TimeDurationPicker, chip, and chip list. So let's go and talk about some new features on existing components. Some of them look very similar, like for instance the CSP Compliance, but floating labels. I was very excited about this because it seems that everybody got a label. So you can see in the GIF here where the actual description on the input, once clicked upon, turns into the label, and that's why it's called a floating label. And then you can, whatever kind of input it is, whether it's a time picker, a combo box, drop down list, as you see here, you can then choose the option and it fills in that actual. Or if it's just an input, we can type into it. But the floating label was added to very many of them. I have a link that you can check out. I think that link takes you to the like ID in the blog post where this exact paragraph is talked about, because there's actually a link to every single one of these. And I was like, that's way too many QR codes, right? Am I right? Yeah. So go to that link if you want to check out the new floating labels for one of these components, and there will be a link there to take you to that jQuery demo. The bullet charts got label support. You can set a simple property to display labels in the jQuery bullet chart and give a little bit more context. And so I actually do have a demo of this where we can play around with it. And I think I have the code pulled up here too, where you're specifying like the label. You can see in the very middle, it says labels, and then you're giving it an object and you're setting visible to true, the background to transparent. But then the actual template of it, you're passing in like the value and then a little like additional text to the label. So that's where the 750 mmHg, like, and I don't know if that's supposed to be pronounced like or if I'm just actually.
I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say I doubt it.
Oh, Kathryn, you are the yin to my yang. I love it. But you can go to demos.telerik.com and underneath Kendo UI, check out the bullet charts to see this. But we're gonna play with it in a minute, so don't worry about that if you want to see more. Charts got a subtitle property. So there's a lot of titles and subtitles and floating labels, and it's very like more description, please, right? That's happening to a lot of these components. So the subtitle property has been added to all the jQuery charts to make the text under the main title element. This one, obviously not very specific, main title, subtitle, but like wanted to differentiate which one was which. And then here you can see with the Kendo chart how we're specifying it's very similar to the way the title was always specified. Now you just say subtitle and pass in text. Very simple. So it's a small change, but a cool change. I like it. So add subtitles to your charts, people.
That's nice. And a lot of those are like accessibility tools as well. Like we don't think about them as being like an accessibility feature that we added, but anytime that we're taking like visual information and being able to translate it into text or label something more effectively, that's an accessibility tool, baby.
Baby, I love it. I had to like put this really 90s, 80s cat gif in here because it was beautiful. And I think we're honestly, I challenge you, Kathryn, to the person that can have the ugliest cat gif meme. Because
I didn't realize. I would have come ready.
Issued. Next release.
Next time. R2.
But there is a deprecation of less themes. If you are panicking, this is your notice. This is the last release that the less base themes are supported. For jQuery, I don't know if is that for everybody. I know for sure it's for jQuery.
we've actually, I believe, already depreciated less themes elsewhere. So jQuery, feel good knowing that you got even a little extra time.
Yeah, a little bit longer. Yep. But check out the future plans, that blog post, future plans, Telerik Kendo UI less themes. It goes into the why and also the how, I guess, of suggesting you move forward with different methods. So check that out. But this is your heads up that that's happening. Accessibility improvements, of course, across all our products, always. Keyboard navigation and WAI-ARIA attribute features that were added to the drawer component, the action sheet, the signature, and then we also had, so that was for those three specifically. So if you go to the drawer, the action sheet, or the signature, you should be able to see a new bit in the documentation about keyboard navigation. And then additional accessibility improvements were given to the PDF viewer, the Gantt, the menu, and the tile layout. So I have one more call out on accessibility. So we're going to go, toolbar. So the the toolbar UI component allows two separate modes of keyboard navigation with the arrow keys or tab based. And the dual keyboard mode is also valid in cases where the toolbar is used as an inner component with these components, because oftentimes, as I mentioned, we will have nested situations where like the toolbar is inside the PDF viewer, it's inside the file manager, it's inside the image editor. So these accessibility improvements, they don't only like make just the toolbar, but everything that's using the toolbar, which is quite a lot. Right. So here, this is actually, I love this, the documentation. It's really like, I was very proud to see as I'm like taking over the jQuery updates and learning about our jQuery like documentation, that it's like, it's very pretty. It's very on par. So this is how you can focus a component, and then there you can keep scrolling. And I think I have it pulled up where we'll show some of the supported arrow keys and actions, and it's different per component that you're talking about, but the toolbar in all of these components will function this way. So you by default can start using the left and right arrows, enter, or even things like Alt like down to like go into like a drop down list, or if you're on, what am I, Mac, it's Option.
You're on Mac right now.
I'm like, what is this called? You can Option down, like replace.
What's happening?
Why exactly? It's the struggle. It's so real. So Option, you can swap out Option in the docs when you're reading that to do it for Mac based tittlebits. We also have ECMAScript. I'm sorry, I've like completely lost my mind apparently. ECMAScript module support, ESM, with this release. And I think I have, I have the QR code that you can go and read about why we did that. It was actually a really, really good post. I was reading through it and I was like, wow, whoever wrote this like knows their stuff. But you can learn why we transformed our source code from AMD to ECMAScript modules and see how you can use dynamic script imports with modern browsers for huge benefits. So if you're relying on AMD, don't sweat. Please check out this article. I want to show, I think on the next one I talk about, So you might be wondering how this is like different from the old JavaScript files. And it's really truly a huge difference for something like a large library like Kendo UI for jQuery. So if you want all of the code from the library with the old way, you would need to have to load the kendo.all.javascript file, which, if we're being honest, is chunky, right? She's big. And that causes the browser to load this huge file when you might only need a portion of it for your page to work, right? So I'm listing out some features as I'm talking about, the benefits of why we moved to ESM. But if you had like essentially loaded this kendo.all.javascript, it would be a huge pain. And you need to go in and trim out manually the dependencies according to the components that you're using or the feature sets that you might need, right? So what JavaScript modules is essentially, oh, that was weird. Oh, I clicked on a link. Sorry, friends. Let's find it. I don't know where Keynote went. That was weird. Oh, okay. So I guess if you click on a link, it just takes you there. Handy, I suppose. And this is all in Cindy, God bless her, put it in the downloads, and it's labeled Angular, but it has the Angular and jQuery. So if you want to click these links and check them out. But anyways, back to the story of, so that's the old way of doing it. But now with JavaScript modules enabled, you can just include this script and point to like index.js, use the import and export statements to dynamically load all the other dependencies. So it truly is better. And I really, again, like props to whoever wrote that blog post, because it was just beautiful. So these are some of the benefits if you care to know. But that is all on that update. So CSP Compliance, as I mentioned earlier in the Angular portion, it looks a little bit different per library framework. I always get confused on what's what. So the first steps towards CSP compliance, this release for jQuery removed any eval and new function usages within our Kendo UI for jQuery source code, whether that was like user facing or just internal, right? So we've removed those. And so I think this post, you can see it's it's in the docs. You can see where it talks about framework templates, getting started with CSP templates. This is just, it talks about how this is our first step towards that. So I think Angular with their CSP updates are fully on board now with compliance. And I'm not sure how much more is needed, but we are on our way with jQuery. So That's awesome. I think, what time is it? Yes, I'm right on time. I know, Kathryn, you plugged our channel. I'm on Twitch, of course, on Code It Live for JavaScript Girl. I'm picking that back up. I'm trying to balance traveling, but I will be picking that back up and having more episodes. And then I'm on YouTube every Friday for Angular Air. So if you want to hang out with me some more, I would love to see you. I'm also on Twitter. My DM is always open. So if you have questions that you think of throughout the year, not just during the webinar, you can always ping me with those. Hey Kendo UI hashtag will also get our attention along with @KendoUI. So I think that's the like all of the content I have for us. I don't know if we have any questions. Did you see anything that you were like, oh, we need to highlight this question? Anything that's
I've been keeping an eye on the chat. We didn't have a bunch of jQuery questions, so you did a really good job. And otherwise, we have been basically pulling in questions as they appear,
as they come,
for the most part. So I think we're actually pretty caught up.
This was really fun. I'm so just happy to get to go through this with you, Kathryn and Plamen. If you're still backstage, you both did just killer jobs. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to wrap, but we'll see you for the next release and have some spreadsheet action, hopefully. So
get excited.
Right? Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.